Good evening. I'm David Ortiz. You're watching Infowars Nightly News. It's Monday, the 12th of November of 2012, and here's what we have in store for you tonight.
Tonight, the feds harass gun enthusiasts as a federal checkpoint is established outside a shooting range in Arizona. And drivers are asked about their shooting habits while their vehicles are searched. Plus, victory in the fight against water fluoridation as voters in Wichita say no to the chemical additive. And Hurricane Sandy refugees in prison-like conditions at a FEMA camp. That's coming up next on the Infowars Nightly News.
Welcome back. Well, this past weekend, Alex took a road trip with his family, and during the road trip, he saw a monument to tyranny, what he deemed was a monument to tyranny. He was so bothered by this monument, he decided to file a report. So let's go over to that report that Alex filed.
Alex Jones here reporting for Infowars.com. I was driving through Houston and came across the George Bush Monument. They've got them at the airports here. They've got them all over. And it's just amazing when you actually know history and know that his father, George Herbert Walker Bush's father, grandfather to George W. Bush, Prescott Bush, was the top Nazi under Brown Brother Harriman here in the United States. It came out in the different hearings. And this is a guy openly promoting world government. This is a guy openly pushing planetary tyranny. Right there, there's one of his famous 1991 New World Order global government quotes. A guy who supported the assault weapons ban. If you want to know why Barack Obama won, it's because he's designed to win. The Rockefeller Republicans are there to be placeholders to make sure the United States can be moved towards the model of China. When he was ambassador to China in the mid-1970s, before being CIA director, they went in and got him to set up the one-child policy and the planned staged economy to use China to leverage out the rest of the free world. Total globalist puppet. Always groveling after tyranny, just like his father did for the Nazis and the McCormick-Dickstein committee hearings. And it wasn't that they were even Nazis. They were just groveling up to the fascist order in an attempt to socially climb. Well, later they found the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and went from just being a backwater Nazi agents to being a major political dynasty here in the United States. And all of the idiot Obama supporters that constantly call my radio show, and I see you on the YouTube video saying, aha, your guy lost, Mitt Romney lost. Mitt Romney was designed to lose. Mitt Romney was a placeholder. The fact that you chose Obama and not even the fake conservatism shows you bought into socialism, collectivism that's bankrupted and destroyed every country. But that's what the robber barons want. They want you dependent. They want to consolidate control of this society. And until you figure that out and stop thinking the government's your friend when it's run by a bunch of foreign banks that brag that they've conquered this country, until you realize what the New World Order is in their definition, in the Times of London, and the Associated Press when they brag, a corporate, global, anti-free market monopoly government that wants to shut you and your family down. George Herbert Walker Bush, what a disgusting dynasty, and his son and all of it, to destroy the idea of constitutional libertarian ideas. And it's worked like a charm to drive people into the arms of the peace President Obama, launching all his wars and trillions in banker bailouts and NDAA and expanding the Patriot Act and all of it. That's how they manipulate a shallow, dumbed-down population. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Disgusting monuments all over the place. Oh, look at him. He came to Texas and worked hard. Come over here, Richard. He came to Texas for his CIA front and started his little fake oil company, Zapata Oil, CIA front, and the Bay of Pigs and all the rest of it. Oh, and then let's go right over here. Oh, they helped bring down the Berlin Wall. Pure crap. Gorbachev, other New World Order guy, the Presidio. All of it. This disgusting garbage right here. And then let's go right over here. Oh, his son being sworn in so the mega banks could stage 9/11 and bring in their police state when the public now knows they run Al-Qaeda against Libya and Syria. And oh, the #1 terror threat is conservatives, gun owners, returning veterans. This is how you manipulate people, and the dialectic. So funny. All right, that's it. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com. and I'm here at the George Herbert Walker Bush memorial to tyranny and the destruction of America and driving a stake through our heart. Congratulations, Republican Party. Congratulations, Democrats. You've helped America become totally conquered by foreign fascistic megabanks to carry out their agenda of euthanasia against this population via the soft kill program of genetic and chemical and biological warfare known as eugenics. And if you don't know what eugenics is, that's the reason cancer rates are up by over 3,000% on average. Pediatric cancer is up by 10,000%. You're being murdered by the government you love so much. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, a new world order. A new world order. A new world order.
Well, the police state continues to grow and grow. According to an article posted today on Infowars.com by Paul Joseph Watson, the header reads, "Drivers question on guns at federal checkpoint." The article says drivers were quizzed about their shooting habits and had their vehicles searched by Forest and National Park rangers at a checkpoint in Reddington Pass, Arizona this past weekend, citing the problem of firearms enthusiasts shooting their guns near the main road and leaving empty bullet casings. The feds stopped and searched vehicles to check if the empty rounds had been picked up. Quote, "A driver admitted shooting but did not have the empty casings. A game and fish officer turned him around and told him to pick up his empty rounds," end quote, reports KVOA. The article also says the officials also searched vehicles for other illegal items, including marijuana, alcohol, and in one case, an illegally killed deer. 4 people were arrested on outstanding warrants, and officers issued 11 citations, including 1 for underage drinking. So there you go. The police state continues to grow and grow. You've got Americans who are law-abiding citizens just, you know, at the shooting range, and now they have to be subjected to being pulled over and being asked questions. What the news report also states is that they were also questioned about their gun habits, their gun purchasing habits and things of that nature. Obviously, this is all part of the rollout plan. The government is trying to condition us to get used to continually being asked questions. And for those that say, oh, come on, David, don't be so skeptical, they just want to make sure that there's no loitering going on, and they're trying to keep the environment cleanly. I wonder why they don't try to do that at the border for illegal immigrants that leave trash throughout miles and miles of border. So they're very selective with this enforcement. It's our opinion here at Infowars that this is just their horrible attempt to try to restrict our Second Amendment rights. Again, they're very selective with their enforcement. They don't do this with illegal immigrants who leave trash on the border. But, yeah, they're going to bother you if you're a gun owner at a shooting range. And that took place at Reddington Pass, Arizona. And this comes on the heels of record sales, record gun sales taking place after the re-election of President Barack Obama. So we have to, you know, keep an eye on the federal government with their police state. Obviously, gun sales are increasing. According to Alex, they're coming after our guns. So let's be mindful of this pattern. Now, in other news, not everything is all bad. Liberty lovers are achieving a lot of great things, and one of the things they achieved recently is they're going to, in Portland, they haven't yet decided, the city council, to put fluoride in the water. They can't yet implement that, and that's because petitions were signed, 35,000 signatures were submitted, and as a result of anti-fluoride activists, they submitted a petition, and now it has to go for a referendum. If the city of Portland wants to put fluoride in the water, they now have to go to a referendum, and that referendum is going to take place in May of 2014 as a result of activists who once again submitted signatures. It's great to see. So now the residents of Portland won't have to drink fluoridated water for at least another 2 years, and now there's a shot that their water will not be fluoridated. Portland is the largest city in America that does not have fluoride in their water, so let's wish them luck. If you're in the Portland area, obviously, you know, be activists and make the public aware of the ills of fluoride. There's a Harvard study that shows that fluoride has reduces IQ by as much as 20 points in people. About 25% of the country does not have fluoride in their water. So this is a beacon of hope out there in Portland. Let's wish them well. Again, the referendum is going to be taking place in May of 2014. And that's as a result of InfoWarriors and activists who said, no, 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 City Council, you have to go through us, the people. You have to go through us, the people. So we congratulate InfoWarriors and activists out there in Portland. And this comes on the heels of Wichita, Kansas recently voting to not put fluoride in their water. That was mentioned on naturalnews.com recently. Wichita, Kansas stated that it does not want to fluoridate their water, and Wichita, Kansas is a very large city as well, so we commend the people of Wichita, Kansas. Look, the elite, the power structure wants to fluoridate your water, and we have to keep an eye on them. Now in global news, it seems that some military action is taking place between Israel and Syria. According to an article posted by the AP today, it reads, Israel strikes Syria armor, hiking spillover fears. The article reads, an Israeli tank struck a Syrian army vehicle Monday after a mortar shell landed on Israeli-held territory, the military said, in the first direct confrontation between the countries since the Syrian uprising broke out, sharpening fears that Israel could be drawn into the civil war next door. Israel has steadfastly tried to avoid getting sucked into the Syrian conflict, but it has grown increasingly worried after a series of mortar shells have struck territory in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights in recent days. So there you go. Look, this is just a ticking time bomb that's taking place. According to several high-ranking military officials, it's on. It's on. It's just a matter of when there's going to be a war. We don't know if the war is going to be between Israel and Syria, between Israel and Iran, if the United States is going to be dragged into this. But it's on. It's just a matter of time, in my estimation, that this is going to happen. Again, you've got high-ranking military officials saying that, you know, they've been giving the green light to take action against Iran. Obviously, the situation with Syria is not helpful. So we just need to pray and be mindful that the globalists are trying to get us into a war, into a regional war, so that they can impoverish the globe, impoverish the nations, and ultimately come in and push in one world government posing as the saviors. So this is just more saber rattling, and we pray that the Israeli people do not get into a military confrontation. But according to several military respected individuals and military officials, it's just a matter of time as to when Israel will get into a military conflict, whether it be with Syria, whether it be with Iran. So let's keep an eye on that, and let's pray for the people of Israel and Syria as well. Now, in other news in the Middle East, the BBC reports that Egypt, a baby trafficking ring, has been broken up in Cairo. According to the article, 2 nurses and a doctor at a Cairo hospital are among 5 people arrested, and police say they are still searching for the hospital manager. The babies were reportedly sold to childless couples after cesarean sections were performed on a woman carrying unwanted children. Babies were said to have been sold for up to 3,500 Egyptian pounds. According to Egyptian media reports, women who had come forward too late for an abortion were offered a cesarean section, and their babies were then sold on, apparently at a profit. So there you go. You've got the globalists, you have the elite, and it's just this continual push to demonize people, to minimize life. You see that with the eugenicists, with people like Ted Turner, Bill Gates saying that we need depopulation. You see that with Agenda 21. They continue to insinuate that we need to bring the public together, and we need to, not develop too far away from one another. We want everyone in close quarters so that they can be controlled, if you will, despite the fact that studies show that the world's population could fit inside of California and Texas. You've got these eugenicists continuing to push Agenda 21, continue to promote abortion, and continuing to demonize life. So that's just further evidence that this is continuing, and that was in Cairo, a baby trafficking ring. Of course, that's not being picked up by many mainstream outlets. Now, speaking of complete tyranny and complete evil, we're going to go over to Eric Holder, who, according to an article by Fox News, his wife It says that his wife seems to be involved in an abortion clinic. According to the article, the revelations about Attorney General Eric Holder and his connection to an abortion clinic are becoming worse as new information has come to light showing he failed to disclose his wife's co-owning of an abortion business. Just before the election, Human Events broke the news that Holder's wife and sister-in-law co-own through a family trust, own the building where a controversial abortion practitioner operates. The Holder family transferred ownership to a family trust in 2009, 8 months after President Barack Obama's inauguration, and a deed names Holder's wife and sister-in-law as trustees. So there you go. As if we didn't already know that the people in Washington were completely evil. We're not saying that obviously he's practicing the abortions, but it's all part of this culture of, you know, demonizing life. And obviously Eric Holder will probably be put back in the hot seat as a result of more information that is coming forward regarding Fast and Furious, the illegal gun smuggling ring that occurred. So let's hope that he resigns. There's been reports that he will resign, and let's hope that that happens. Once again, Eric Holder on the hot seat. Now, in other news, Hurricane Sandy news, in an article posted today on Infowars.com by Adon Salazar, it reads, it says, residents of New Jersey whose homes were ravaged by Superstorm Sandy are now having to endure yet another wintry storm and revealing through firsthand accounts that at least one tent camp, FEMA, is providing more strongly resembles a prison. According to the Asbury Park Press, some displaced New Jersey residents have had to relocate to FEMA tent camps in the northeastern part of the state in efforts to secure better shelter, running hot water, and washing machines. But members of at least one camp are saying that none of what was promised is available. According later on in the article, it reads, at Pine Belt, the Red Cross made an announcement that they were sending us to permanent structures up here that had just been redone, that had washing machines and hot showers and steady electric. And they sent us to Tent City. We got blank, reports one person. So there you go. The federal government is always trying to pose as the saviors, saying that, you know, FEMA is wonderful, that FEMA will take care of you. By the way, the liberals out there who used to demonize Bush and Katrina, it doesn't seem like your beloved President Barack Obama is doing much better. So you've got these tent cities that are going on, and sadly, there are still people, I'm from that neck of the woods from New Jersey, there are still people without electricity, there are still people without heat, and it's amazing how people can become, and it's not that they're bad, but how we can all become savages without having heat and electricity and food for 7 days. Obviously, things became pretty hellish after a couple of days. It's good to see that things are getting back to normal, but we still have problems in the Northeast. We wish them well. And again, this just goes to prove that FEMA is inept. They're an inept agency. Ron Paul said in an interview recently that he saw that FEMA had actually closed some of their offices in New Jersey during Hurricane Sandy because it was due to inclement weather. So FEMA actually closed some of their branches due to inclement weather. Now, aren't these the individuals who we're paying taxes to? Isn't this the agency that Barack Obama says we should look to when things are bad? You know, and obviously it took days to get food down there. It's just a big mess. We wish the people of the Northeast you know, the best of luck with that. And speaking of the government and how they're always trying to pose as the saviors and saying that we need them to protect our health, a couple of weeks ago, Dan Badandi showed part 1 of his series on flu shots and flu vaccines and why they are dangerous. Well, coming up right now, we're going to go to part 2 of Dan's hard-hitting news story on flu vaccines. Over to you, Dan.
Hi, Dan Badandi reporting here for the Infowars Nightly News. In part 2 of our special in-depth report on the flu season, we are going to reveal real statistics that both the Center for Disease Control and the federal government lie about. And we will expose how vaccinations are used for more of a diabolical purpose, such as global depopulation, as openly stated by Bill Gates. An article by Paul Joseph Watson, which is also in the Infowars monthly magazine of October of 2012 edition, And the article is, new study finds link between flu shot and the H1N1 pandemic. A new study has found that people who received a flu shot before the outbreak of 2009 H1N1 pandemic were more likely to catch the swine flu virus, a startling discovery given the fact that the experts have blamed the pharmaceutical industry for deliberately engineering the pandemic to make huge profits from vaccines. NaturalSociety.com reports that flu shot worsens H1N1 symptoms, a new research reveals. And it states that vaccines made individuals more sick and worsened the H1N1 symptoms. And the article states that vaccines are often chock full of harmful ingredients that might get us sicker than the illness itself. Chemicals found in the flu vaccines include aluminum, a neurotoxic linked to Alzheimer's disease, formaldehyde, a carcinogen. PrisonPlanet.com reports a bombshell that 18 people died of the flu, not 36,000 as claimed by the CDC. The flu season is approaching, and of course we will see the Center for Disease Control urge all parents to act like good little robots and have the whole family jabbed with flu shots. The usual warnings and predictions will be trumped by the CDC and their compliant media. In other words, propaganda. And according to the CDC statistics, influenza and pneumonia took 62,000 lives in 2001, 61,000 of which were attributable to pneumonia and 257 to the flu. And only in 18 cases was the flu virus positively identified. As you can see, the CDC had created one category that combined both the flu and pneumonia deaths. And Natural News reports 30 stunning facts they don't want you to know about Gardasil and HPV vaccines. And we don't have time to go over all 30, so we highlighted just a few of the very important ones. It has never been proven that HPV vaccine prevents cervical cancer. There is no scientific evidence of any kind. All the marketing assertions are false. It is one of the largest, most harmful medical hoaxes of our time. Officially, the vaccine has been associated with approximately 100 deaths and 500 have been permanently disabled. Pap smears prevent over 80% of cervical cancer. A yearly pap smear reduces your chance of getting cervical cancer up to 0.002%. And finally, the FDA website has no mention that the vaccine was ever tested on males, yet the CDC says the vaccine is recommended for all boys and men through the ages of 21. And for more information on vaccines and their side effects, right here is the nail in the coffin. Right from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control themselves, reporting the dangerous side effects of all the listed vaccines. And Cryptagon reports that Gates Foundation funds unmanned aerial vehicles known as drones to distribute vaccines. And the article states that Judge Barbatius of the Harvard-MIT Division of the Health Sciences and Technology in the USA will lead a team to develop unmanned aerial vehicles that can be deployed by healthcare workers via cell phones to swiftly transport vaccines to rural locations and alleviate last-mile delivery problems and improve cost, quality, and coverage of vaccine supplies. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is funding plenty of the vaccines-related programs. As usual, giving away the larger attempt to fight back against vaccine skeptics and push for total global saturation of vaccines. Infowars.com reports a leading World Bank demographic of vaccination campaigns part of population reduction policy. And it states on October 2nd, a retired demographer at the World Bank admitted that vaccination campaigns are a part of the World Bank's population policies. The World Health Organization, the World Bank, the UN Environmental Department, the UN Population Fund, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and all other arms of the creature we call the scientific dictatorship are closing in on humanity with mass scale of vaccination programs and genetically engineered food. And the elite's psychotic vision, they state if you eradicate the human, you eradicate the disease. Problem solved, they say. Bill Gates goes on to ask, can fertility reduction be an integral element of a disease eradication campaign? Well, the answer to that question is given by Bill Gates in the 2010 TED conference meeting when he promoted using vaccines to lower the population by 10 to 15%, as you see in this video.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Thank you for joining us in part 2 of this special in-depth report on the flu season. Remember, folks, avoid the propaganda and just say no. And this is Dan Bedandi reporting for the Infowars Nightly News.
And back home, it seems that the state of Texas is pretty much fed up with the TSA. A legislator has drafted legislation to significantly reduce the TSA's power. The controversial TSA's power, according to a bill drafted by Representative David Simpson. He's a Republican from Longview. He pre-filed a bill to stop aggressive TSA groping in the Lone Star State. The Texas Travel Freedom Act, House Bill 80, would make it a criminal act to intentionally touch, quote, the anus, breast, buttocks, or sexual organ of the other person, including touching through clothing, end quote, without probable cause. What in the world is probable cause? But so it's nice to see that we have a legislator in Texas who's a patriot. He's pretty much fed up with these gropers. We're not saying that all TSA agents are gropers. I'm sure the majority of TSA agents, I speak for myself, are good people, but a large minority are not. A large minority are not. And this is not based on hearsay. This is based on case after case after case of people getting groped. And recently, here on Infowars.com, on our website, we posted an article about how a woman was actually pulled aside because the TSA fondler said she had a bulge in her pants. I guess they thought she had a penis. I mean, and she obviously did not. But according to the TSA agents, they thought she did. They thought she did. They thought bin Laden was in her pants or something. It just goes on and on, whether it be her, Miss Universe. It's just ridiculous. So we also want to take this moment to remind you that next week, from November the 19th to the 26th, we are sponsoring, if you want to call it that, the TSA Opt-Out and Film Campaign. That's going to be taking place from November the 19th to the 26th. We encourage you, if you're watching, to go to your local airport and just film these individuals, many of whom are gropers, doing their job. It's completely legal. It's completely constitutional. If you look online, there is a link on one of our articles that shows the TSA saying on their website that you can film them, so you can print that off and send it to them when they try to act like godlike figures and say, what are you doing? So there you go. And you don't even have to be flying that week. You can just, it's public property. You can go to your local airport, film them, obviously be respectful, and just watch as many of them obviously run away like cockroaches. Last year or 2 years ago, another outreach effort, a similar outreach effort took place, and as a result, they stopped the X-ray machines. They stopped the X-ray machines, so that was due to our previous opt-out campaign. So there you go. We're now going to go to a report produced by Jakari Jackson that focuses on the CIA and how they're using drug money to sway the election down in Ecuador. No, that would never happen. I know. It's shocking. So over to you, Jakari.
Jakari Jackson for the Infowars Nightly News. Now we have a story here breaking for the first time in the English language. Headline: CIA allegedly using drug money to overthrow Ecuador President Rafael Correa. Now the headline pretty much says it all, but we also have a video that goes along with this that documents a UK diplomat's concern for the issue.
Realizó un diplomático inglés, Craig Murray, ex embajador del Reino Unido en Uzbekistán, quien sostuvo en su blog personal que la CIA estaría fraguando una operación secreta para evitar la reelección de Rafael Correa. Y para ello, según el ex embajador inglés, la CIA contaría con un presupuesto mayor a los $80 millones. Todo esto para evitar, de acuerdo al alto diplomático inglés, la gran pérdida sufrida por los intereses norteamericanos en Venezuela.
And as we all know, this is not the first time the U.S. has used drug proceeds to fund their various operations.
Well, I come to the table with a background in Air Force intelligence, 8 years during the Vietnam War, worked with the CIA and Air America, and then that led me into contract work with the CIA in an obscure place called Mena, Arkansas, back when Bill Clinton was governor and back when George Bush was the president. And I personally witnessed complicity between these two men, Bush and Clinton, in terms of transporting cocaine into the U.S. For the purpose of sale to generate money to fight a war. And that war at the time was the conflict in Central America involving the Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
And for those who think the problem ends with the arrest of a neighborhood drug dealer, check out the story of Freeway Rick Ross.
At the same time, all of the cocaine from Nicaragua was flowing into the U.S. Freeway Ricky Ross was at his heyday. An investigative journalist by the name of Gary Webb uncovered a link that connected him back to the Nicaraguan Contra movement.
In South Central, the buzzword was that the CIA was selling crack. And I said, no, the CIA wasn't selling crack. The CIA was importing cocaine. Ricky Ross got it, turned it into crack, and he sold it.
And don't forget the U.S. military is on the record guarding opium in Afghanistan. And as you can see, this is just another example of collusion between our government and various drug lords around the world. I'm Jakari Jackson for the Infowars Nightly News.
Thank you, Jakari, for that news story. Well, that's all for the hard-hitting news today, but we are going to go to some an inspirational quote as part of our daily quote. And it's from John F. Kennedy. Quote, "A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on," end quote. There you go. And that was the daily quote. And remember, if you like what we do here, if you like our operation, if you think if you approve of the fact that we're going after the globalists, we encourage you to support us. And one way you can do that, you've done so in so many ways, and we thank you for that. But one way you can do that is by becoming a member of PrisonPlanet.tv. For less than $6 a month, you can get just hours and hours of content. You can see Alex's radio show live. You get access to his documentaries, high def, high quality. You get to see his rants, ebooks, and also you can go to InfoWarsShop.com. And this week, we actually have a pretty amazing discount that we're offering for Pro Pure water filters. Obviously, this takes out the fluoride in your water as well as other harmful chemicals. And if you just put in the code WATER15, you'll receive 15% off Pro Pure water filters. One of our reporters here, I won't disclose her name. I mean, I'm sure she's proud of it, but I'll just say, well, I just disclosed it, but there's only one female reporter. Melissa Melton got a Pro Pure filter. There, I said it. She's a patriot. I know. I should keep that a secret. She got a Pro Pure water filter, and she cooks with it, and, you know, so we practice what we preach here. So go get those Pure water filters. And thank you so much for watching tonight's edition of InfoWars Nightly News. Again, I'm David Ortiz. Have a great evening.
Insider billionaire investors like George Soros and John Paulson have recently made massive moves into gold, purchasing what Bloomberg News described as gold hoards. Soros alone doubled his holdings in a single day. Russia's Vladimir Putin has doubled down on gold, increasing the country's holdings by over 100%. With $1.8 trillion under management, the bond king Bill Gross, the world's preeminent bond fund manager at PIMCO, has warned investors of the dangers of QE3 and inflation. And what's he betting on? You guessed it, gold. Friends, this is Alex Jones for MidasResources.com. For more than 15 years, I have exclusively used Midas Resources for all my precious metal needs. Whether it's bullion or collectibles you're looking for, Midas Resources is simply the best. I own my gold as a hedge against inflation. This Federal Reserve fiat currency could go the way of the Deutschmark and the Weimar Republic anytime. In these historically dangerous times, it makes sense to physically hold gold and silver. Midas already has some of the best deals in the industry. But if you give them a call and mention the radio special, they will give you a list of the day's super specials. Midas brokers are standing by to answer all your questions at 800-686-2237. They also have a lot of informative free literature explaining the opportunities and risk of holding precious metals. They are ready to answer your questions at 800-686-2237. Again, that's 800-686-2237.
I really enjoy it when the globalists try to poison us, and, well, we resist them via a free market system. Hello, my fellow Info Warriors. Alex Jones here, introducing you to the Pro Pure family of gravity-fed filters. Now, you know that the globalists are filling our water with radioactive isotopes, fluoride, lead, mercury, arsenic. And one of the few systems that can efficiently and economically remove or reduce down to non-detectable levels these poisons are gravity-fed filters. And ProPure is the top of the line. Their filters are impregnated with silver, a natural antibiotic. On top of that, they're bigger, so they filter faster. You don't have to prime these the first time you use them. It's amazing. Go to Infowars.com and click on the shopping cart link to see the entire family of these babies. Now, the fluoride they add to our water is so tiny that most filters can't cut it out. But ProPure has their system that will, again, reduce it to non-detectable levels, almost get all of it out of there. That's also available. And if you look at the different systems they offer, the ProPure Big Brush Finish is on a stand, so it's easier on a table or at your restaurant or wherever you have it to go up with a glass or a mug and fill it up. Then there's this big baby right here, the ProPure King large version. Got a lot of different options that come with it. Also, they have the ProPure Big, probably one of the best values out there. And of course, it's burnished stainless steel. And then what I use on my RV, something that's great for your hunting cabin or the back porch, is the ProPure Traveler. Small and portable, but packs a huge punch, cleans out all that garbage. They also have a glass sight spigot, so you don't have to take the top off and look in the bottom area to see how much water. You can see how fast it's filtering with this optional system. The globalists obviously are hitting us through our water. It's time to take control of our lives. It's time to not give our children and families these poisons, and these systems cut it down to non-detectable levels across the board. ProPure is the name. I only promote what I believe in. And I use ProPure in my home and my office. And I recommend that you check out the information on ProPure at Infowars.com. We already have the lowest price at Infowars.com on the ProPure gravity filter system. But when you add in the 10% off when InfoWarriors use the product code WATER at Infowars.com, nobody can top it. So again, it's a win-win-win. Stop drinking the poison water. Checkmate the globalists when it comes to your health, and support Infowars.com and the work we're doing here. You know, many revolutionaries rob banks and things and kidnap people for funds. We promote in the free market the products we use that are about preparedness. That's how we fund this revolution against the New World Order in our move to restore our constitutional republic and a spirit of 1776 worldwide. Check it out at Infowars.com. ProPure, top of the line, #1, most powerful and effective and economical gravity-fed water system in the world. ProPure, available, discounted at Infowars.com. Don't forget product code WATER to save 10%. It's the latest generation, years in development. ProPure is the name. And we are back on this November 12th, 2012 Monday edition of InfoWars Nightly News. And one of our favorite and extremely informative guests, Gerald Celente, is back with us. I had him on election night. And, of course, he called Obama correctly from Dublin, Ireland. What an amazing interview we had. It was so good. I re-aired it on the radio on the Sunday afternoon show, and my family, my children, sure enjoyed listening to all the great people there in Ireland cheering. We were driving around Austin during the rebroadcast. But unfortunately, we don't have good news today with Gerald Celente and his lawyer being on with us. They're having to sue Google, and he has filed that suit. And the Business Insider broke the news a few days ago. I just learned of it last night when Rob Dew called me about it. And so we're going to kind of flesh this out and give you more details of how Google, and I've had this happen to me too, will let people kind of operate as if they're you. And it causes just amazing problems. And, of course, the Attorney General of Texas has been suing Google, and other attorney generals have, for people that advertise with Google, giving them preferential top links, even above the real group or business or organization themselves. So that's why I personally have had a lot of problems. And behind the scenes, I don't know, for 4 or 5 months, I talk to Gerald every few weeks before he comes on the radio or sometimes off air. I've gotten to know him, meeting him up in New York a few times. And so we're friends, and he's pulled his hair out saying, there are people out there that operate like they're me, saying things, and then I basically get the blame for it. Well, yeah, I've had that happen to me as well, or people edit what I say. It's a big problem. The internet's a double-edged sword. It's a great way to empower people, but it's also a vehicle that can cause a lot of problems when groups like Google that say that they want to be the internet basically are unresponsive. And I think that's one of the biggest issues here. You know, talking to Gerald off air, is he's having to sue them just to get their attention. I mean, he's certainly not a litigious person. And, of course, Gerald Celente doesn't need any introduction here. Diane Finguera, his prestigious intellectual property lawyer, is, of course, the person honchoing the suit, and he joins us now from Kingston, New York, via video Skype. His lawyer will be joining us here in a few minutes, is joining us via phone. Now, correct me if anything's wrong. I was just kind of giving a basic boil down there, Gerald, and then break down exactly why you've been forced to do this as we also show the viewers out there your lawsuit, your complaint.
Well, what's going on, Alex, are people taking out blog spots in my name: Gerald Celente Channel, Gerald Celente Blog Spot, Gerald Celente Channel.blogspot, on and on. And Google, we've contacted Google several times. We have, our attorneys have, writing cogent letters expressing the concern that these imposters, pretenders, are using my name. And what they're doing is, as you well know, I'm internationally renowned for my work as a trend forecaster. So people hear me and they Google up Gerald Celente blog. So they see the first thing pops up, a Gerald Celente blog, and they go to it thinking it's me. And what they do is they put up all of this information that has nothing to do with what I believe, say, or recommend. And what they do is they get tons of advertising because I'm so popular. So Google profits from it because of its AdSense and its pay-per-click. So we've contacted Google and we've notified them personally and through my attorney several times that we have imposters that are taking my name to drive people to their sites. The Google blogger team has to either be a bunch of morons, they don't care, or they're just interested in getting the money. Because each time that either I contact them or my attorneys contact them, they send back these inane letters that have nothing to do with imposters or trademark infringement. Gerald Celente is a trademark. I'm also covered by the Lanham Act because of my popularity over the years. But every time we contact them, it's like you contacted a municipality to complain about a parking ticket. Now, I just want to mention that on the other side of the coin, when we contact Facebook to take imposter sites down, they take them down promptly and they take them down effectively. But I have to wonder, either, again, the Google people are too stupid to know the, quote, Google, the blogger team, or they don't care, or they're making too much money off me, or the morons don't know what the definition of imposter is, because imposter is a pretender. Now, also, Alex, to underline all this, Google has an imposter policy. But it's an imposter that they have an imposter policy because they refuse to enforce it. So now what's going on? These people are posting things, for example. I mean, you know me, we know each other a long time. They have guys, morons up there spouting out anti-Semitic, anti-Catholic, anti-Christian, anti-Islamic statements, such as, I'm sure you knew about this, Alex, because if you went to the Gerald Celente channel, you would see some jerk spouting off that Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Pope and the Vatican are in concert with each other to start a Christian-Muslim war. Now, when you go onto this site, what do they have on the top of it? Trends and forecasts. What's my name of my business? The Trends Research Institute. What are some of my trademarks? Trends Journal, Trends Alert, world leader in trend forecasting. Why shouldn't this be me? If you go into a store that says Neiman Marcus and you walk in and they're selling a bunch of crap, you think Neiman Marcus is selling crap. Well, the Google crapsters are allowing imposters to sell Gerald Celente while they're selling crap, fraud, and insightful, life-threatening information. And regardless of all of the tens of thousands of dollars I've already spent on legal fees, despite all the time that we have taken contacting Google, the best that they can do is to send some flunky, inane, insulting letter back to us saying, we have no control over the content being put on the sites. This isn't about content, moron. It's about imposters. And you ostensibly have an imposter policy, and it's an imposter that you even have such a policy because you're destroying my life to make a couple of bucks to keep your stock up. Is that it, Google?
Well, expanding on this, Gerald, I personally have had a lot of people on Facebook pose as imposters and then call for killings of people to try to get me in trouble. And I've had people buy into it. And I had to get a hold of Facebook about 1.5 years ago and send them my driver's license, my proof. I'm not saying Facebook's great either with their pump and dump, but they even had people call us back and then verify that our official channel was our official channel. And I know Google through YouTube has systems to try to verify things now. But I do think it's about advertising because the Texas lawsuit, but also the federal lawsuits that are going on, I was showing it on screen earlier, and perhaps your lawyer, who we'll bring in a moment, can elaborate on this. And so it's not just beat up Google time. This is a real problem that they give not just preferential treatment to imposters and take money from them, but they put them on top. So it's imposters that are getting preferential placement. They say they're you. You even have trademarks and copyrights. And then they go out, and then Google doesn't ever stop, and then courts keep ruling on behalf of Google because it's come out, and I was the one that broke this 8 years ago with a CIA analyst who went public, that really Google was set up 13 years ago by the NSA and CIA. So that's why there's some lawsuits and a few attorney generals at state levels who do the right thing. It's a quasi-government private partnership, and I think that's why you're going to find they can play by rules that nobody else can. You know, also Google claims their algorithm is about traffic. Well, we're not the top link most of the time with Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com or Alex Jones. They'll put Wikipedia up there that's got my middle name spelled wrong and all this negative, you know, baloney. But yeah, there it is, law.com. Any partnership between Google and NSA can remain secret because it's national security, U.S. Court of Appeals held. And of course, they've got, you know, government aircraft and government bases at NASA. So that's the problem, Gerald. They're more than happy to set the precedent that Google gets to play by rules that nobody else can. Why does Facebook, why do all these other big sites have ways to fix this pretty quickly? And why doesn't Google? I think that's the key here. Elaborate on that, and then let's go to your lawyer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you said, Facebook got in touch with you. We contacted Facebook last week. Another imposter site went up. And by the way, what happens is they put these, you know, videos of me, you know, on your show and many others, and then you hit the link and it goes back to the imposter site, and then they put up false statements about what I said. Like, you know, I've said this hundreds of times, thousands of times. I don't give financial advice, and I don't tell people where to buy gold. But Gerald Celente said you could buy gold at, you know, fakegold.com. You know, we're terrific, and Celente supports us. Facebook took it down like that. And you're 100% right. Some little clown out there who's ripping me off and making a lot of money off me, his ranking gets above mine because Google's making money in AdSense and with their pay-per-click. So I should be up #1 considering, you know, the amount of, like yourself, the amount of people that follow us. But no, Google puts the AdSense.
Yeah, let me explain this. If you look at the sites that are in your exhibit, I did some of this during my radio show, during the breaks. I checked a few. They don't even hardly show up in the rankings of, say, Alexa.com, that's run by Amazon.com. That's a really good sampling, because we can put it by Google Analytics and see that Alexa.com is showing exactly what Google's showing with their internal systems. And to not be so technical, the point here is that your site in Alexa.com is way above these sites that you're being forced to sue along with Google, but they're still putting these other imposters on top of you because they've installed Google AdSense and are making money with Google. And that's where the antitrust suits come in. You know, again, people say, well, just don't use Google. Well, Google says they are the internet. They've got government backing. Their goal is to be the internet. They claim they're giving impartial results, but the truth is they aren't just allowing you to lose money that should be going to you to run your operation and build it. Again, they are able to misrepresent who you really are, and that's the real danger here. Introduce your lawyer to us here, Gerald.
Yes, this is Diane Finguera, and she is a international trademark and copyright expert and also an IT expert. And we retained her a few months ago after going through a number of attorneys, by the way. And what I would find is, as I'm talking to attorneys, that this, this is really new territory. But when I spoke with Diane, she was really on top of it. And I feel very confident and feel very...
Yes, let's bring her up. Diane, again, new territory for some lawyers, but what you're doing now, correct me if I'm wrong, is at the heart of what the federal government and other attorney generals are doing. They're saying and suing for antitrust over exactly what Gerald's complaint is stating, the lawsuit. Can you elaborate on anything we've said that's incorrect or add anything to it?
No, I mean, I can't really speak to the antitrust cases, but I can talk to, Gerald's lawsuit and everything that he said so far about, the motivation for bringing this lawsuit is spot on. Google does, the blogger does have a policy, and the policy, says, please don't mislead or confuse readers by pretending to be someone else or pretending to represent an organization when you don't. We're not saying you can't publish parody or satire, just avoid content that is likely to mislead readers about your true identity. Then they go on to sort of explain, how you can report an infringement, and they put their users on notice that if you violate our policies, we have the right to disable the access to your site and to take down your blog. So, Gerald did all of that, and they, to no avail, and that's what's sort of, baffling from a legal perspective, because, if you have a policy, you can avoid being liable for contributory trademark infringement by enforcing your policy. But you can't skirt liability by just having a policy.
Quantify that for me. I mean, is it not the...
be used.
Mm-hmm.
So, had Google, just taken down these blogs when they were reported through the policy, the whole lawsuit could have been avoided. And that's what I think Gerald finds frustrating, and that's what, I find frustrating as well.
Absolutely. Interjecting here, I think you're alluding to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA takedown.
I'm alluding to the to the blogger policy that you can get from the Google website when you go to blogs. And on the bottom, there's a click for...
Sure, but just to be clear, I mean, if you talk about DMCA...
And that's where you'll find what the internal blogger policy is. So this isn't a copyright case, which would kick in what you were referring to, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. This is a trademark case.
No, I understand that, but I just want to quiz you because you're an expert in this. Reading the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, all of it, it's supposed to give Google or Infowars.com, we have a social network, planetinfowars.com, it's supposed to give me the protection I need to let third parties come on and have their own blogs, their own radio shows, their own information, so that if they do something wrong, I get notified, my policies comply with the third-party issues so that I can then act accordingly and pull their information down. And so what you're saying is basically it's in the same territory that, yeah, their policy is in accordance with copyright and trademark and all the rest of this, but they're not enforcing it even after being warned over and over again.
Yeah, that's true, except that I wouldn't even give them that much credit because the blogger policy doesn't even address trademarks. It addresses copyright, and it addresses impersonation, and a couple of other things like crude content and violence, but it doesn't even address trademark. So, their policy, while they have one, isn't as complete as it should be. But what they do have that applies to us, they're not enforcing.
Interesting. I want to come back to you in a moment, but I want to ask Gerald this before I forget. Gerald, I know that you told me 3-4 months ago when you were pulling your hair out on this that you didn't just contact Google over and over again. You contacted the people that are in your exhibit. And, what did they say when you said, I'm going to sue you?
We didn't even say we're going to sue you. We said, take it down. And they started cursing and screaming at us and telling us to basically go F ourselves. And all the others that we said as well, because they're with impunity. Google leaves them alone, and as you well pointed out, they give them high ranking. Just to put this into context, Blogger was owned by a company called Blogger, and Google just bought Blogger last April. Here's a quote from Google after they bought Blogger. This is from the Google themselves. They said, Google admitted, quote, truth is, we're still figuring a lot of it out. Guess what? They still haven't figured it out. This is a year and a half later. They have a clear stated policy. The policy says they do not permit imposters. What does it take? Does it not take a Philadelphia lawyer to know what the word imposter means? It means pretender. As I said, if you go into a store that has a big sign on it that says Neiman Marcus, and you go in there and it's selling crap, it's an imposter. Google is facilitating the imposters. They're renting out the space so that the phonies could put Gerald Celente on it and sell crap. So to me, Google is as responsible as the imposters. And Alex, you know what's happened to me over the last year. That SOB, John the Slime Corzine, stole my money, 6 figures, going in from MF Global, going in and stealing my money out of my segregated account. What did the United States Attorney General do? Eric Holder. Oh, Eric Holder, came from the same white shoe firm that represents MF Global. He didn't do anything. What are people doing in Google when I get ripped off? Nothing. The word justice is being misspelled. It's J-U-S-T-U-S. Just us. I work like you do. I work tirelessly to perform at the best level I can and to put out the best information that I'm capable of coming up with. And what do I get for it? I have people stealing it, stealing my reputation, robbing my business, and people like John the Slime Corzine stealing my money. And what am I supposed to do about it? Do you think Diane's firm comes cheaply? I'm spending a fortune on trying to stop this from happening only because these SOBs are robbing the public at every level, and there's no one there to stop them. And that's why I'm speaking out. I've had it.
Well said. Going back to Diane, Diane, you're hearing all of this and the problems that it's causing Gerald. I mean, this is really creepy that people can go on there, say they're somebody else, and get away with it for years, and that Google won't do anything. I mean, I know you're just a lawyer going off the facts here, but what do you think's happening here? And hopefully, what are you looking for from the courts with this lawsuit?
Well, it's it is unfortunate that we had to sue, and that's really what the problem here is, that it just shouldn't be. It should just be that Google operates the way Twitter operates and Facebook operates and eBay operates, where you have these large service providers that are giving a platform for, for third parties and users to just post, to use their, as a means to reach consumers. But they do it responsibly, where they have policies in place where brand owners and famous people can let, or just anyone can let them know, hey, I'm being impersonated, hey, my trademark is being infringed, and all these other social networks have mechanisms to deal with it. Google has a policy for the impersonation. They should just enforce it. So I think that what we're hoping for here, or for these blogs to get taken down, from the bloggers to be permanently restrained from the unauthorized use of Mr. Celente's image, from his photograph, from his trademark, and then another terms that we can hopefully arrive at either in a settlement or attorney's fees by court order. But I think the goal here is to get this stuff down now, and to make sure there are mechanisms in place that if it happens again in the future, you don't need to file literally a federal lawsuit to get a policy enforced.
Sure. Well, here's the problem. I mean, historically, constitutionally, copyright, trademark, it seems like a no-brainer that if you've been running a restaurant for 20 years, it's got a name, everybody trusts it, somebody can't open one across the street with the same name and then say they're you, and start telling everybody in the town that they're Gerald Celente or they're Alex Jones. I've had a lot of this go on myself. I'm just so busy that usually I just ignore it, but I understand it's become a problem. I remember about a year or two ago, we decided to get on eBay, but there were all these people on there selling copies of my films for like 50 cents a piece, which then people would get it and it'd be blank, it'd be crud. And I contacted the people and said, please stop, and they didn't stop. It was a bunch of them. Some of them did. So I went to eBay, boom. We had to prove we were who we said we were, boom, gone. One day, and now we have a burgeoning operation on eBay, helps fund our free speech and what we're doing. So yeah, eBay, Twitter,
that's
Facebook.
Right, Alex. I mean, in fact, eBay is the leading kind of precedent. There was a really big case a couple of years ago in New York brought by Tiffany's, and Tiffany's wanted to hold them liable for contributory trademark infringement because they were sort of taking a position that eBay had an affirmative duty to seek out the counterfeit goods themselves once they were on notice that certain sellers sold the goods. And the court said, that burden does not fall on eBay. It falls on you, brand owner, but as long as Google's got these policies that are in place that they enforce to take down infringements once they are alerted to it, they can't be held contributory liable.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot.
That's what the weakness here is with Google, is that Tiffany versus eBay sort of set the standard as to how these media social networking sites can be protected, and the standard is have a policy and enforce it. And the fact that Google is not enforcing it, I believe, exposes them to liability under Tiffany versus eBay, as well as some precedent that's come out of the Ninth Circuit.
Wow. By the way, expanding on that, because this is such a fascinating discussion, it's not just about Gerald being victimized here. Clearly, it's about the integrity of the internet, and which has now become the biggest marketplace. It's bigger than brick and mortar, I've seen in the latest statistics. We crossed that Rubicon about a year ago. About 2 years ago, we were selling the Obama deception, and we had set up a Google online store, and we got noticed. We even did an article about it. If the guys can find it, I forget the exact headline, something like Google bans Infowars online store, and they gave us a letter saying your account's suspended, you can't have any of these items because it's hateful to have a film called The Obama Deception, which, by the way, stars, as you'd say, Gerald Celente. And it's nothing to do with his race. It's saying Obama's going to shaft you just like Bush. It's actually bipartisan criticism. And as an award-winning film, seen more than 40 million times free online. But there we were daring to sell DVDs, and they told us we couldn't have the website because of that. So they also selectively enforce. They've been caught kicking people off who aren't big advertisers with them. So they're really cutthroat. The reason they're able to take over the market, from my own experience, I'm saying we're not picking on Google. No, they're picking on us. Gerald Celente, anything else you'd like to add on this? And then your lawyer. And I want to spend about 10 minutes with you then on some other news issues.
Yes, the other issue is that Diane had sent a law firm and other law firms that I've retained prior to hers letters to Google's general counsel. And we tried every way possible to avoid this. And every time that they respond with an insulting, inane letter from, quote, the Google blogger team. And they never address the issue of imposter.
Or
and
infringement.
Excuse me?
I said, or trademark infringement. And I think you're being generous by calling it a letter. They send these, like, 2-sentence emails to us.
Why are they so arrogant? Let me ask you about this. Why are they so arrogant? Is it the NSA, CIA being involved in their founding?
I don't even think it's that. I just think they don't care. They're making, I don't know, we'll find out. As I said, the only things that I could come up with is they don't care, they're too arrogant, they're making too much money off AdSense with all these people having fake blogs up and tons of advertisements, tons of them rolling through all the time. Or the Google blogger team, as they said a year ago, is that we're still trying to figure it out, and maybe the cats can't pick up a dictionary and figure out what the word imposter is. But I want to make this really clear. Before an attorney writes a letter and sends it to Google, there's hours and hours of work that go into it. So they write a very detailed letter with case studies, all the examples of infringement, costing a lot of money and a lot of time. It goes to the general counsel, and then they send you back, as Diane said, this insulting 2-paragraph form letter that addresses none of the issues. So what is it that allows Google to stand up above us all, ruin my reputation and others? And by the way, as you point out, this isn't only about me. This is about all of the other tens of thousands of people that are getting ripped off by imposters that are making money off other people's blood, sweat, and toil.
Well, you're absolutely right. And again, I'm not a litigious person. I know you're not a litigious person. And we've got all this extreme copyright and trademark infringement going on, where McDonald's, 60 Minutes reported over a decade ago, sued the McDonald family. You had the McDonald Castle. For 400 years, they'd had a pub there, serving food and stuff. And, of course, last time I checked, McDonald's lost the case. Or you've got, people that put up a Disney character on the wall at a daycare center that they bought, and then Disney sues them. I mean, you've got these extreme wild cases, and then you've got stuff where people are saying they're you. I mean, because that's one thing. I mean, it goes beyond this. It's now a defamation, slander, libel, if you want to call it.
Alex, the harm that it's caused me, you have no idea. The letters that we get, the emails, how could I say such things? I had respect for you. I no longer have it. And, of course, people are going to these blogs, and it's also hurting my business because they think that piece of crap is me.
Oh, no. People everywhere say that I said things I didn't, or they edited together. But again, over time, people figure it out. It's just so many people are just now getting into politics and are kind of children. Going back to Diane in closing, and I'm going to hit a few items with you. Gerald and I have been jumping in, man. We appreciate your time and what you've done. In 3 or 4 minutes, other points you'd like to add that are pertinent to this case?
No, I mean, honestly, I think Alex and Gerald, you guys really have covered it quite well. You know, I think that, you know, at this point, we have to go to court to sort of restrain the bloggers. And then I'm, you know, hoping that maybe once we actually have a person to speak with it, you know, a representative from Google. I'm kind of excited now that Google is going to have to get a lawyer that I can talk with. And, you know, this is the type of case that we shouldn't have to litigate, and I think that it's the type of case that we should settle, and if we can't settle it, you know, I'm very confident that, like I said, the cases in the Second Circuit in New York are very favorable for us. And then there's a really great case that came out of the Ninth Circuit that I think that we can use as persuasive reasoning here. And I think we've got an extremely strong case. So it's in Google's interest to not have this litigation go forward. But if it does, this will be a precedent-setting case. You know, I'm hopeful that, you know, in both ends, that either we can settle this for you know, on terms that are acceptable to us, and if not, then I'm looking forward to getting a decision by the courts.
Said, again, I really appreciate you spending time with us, and we'll track this as it unfolds, and I hope that Gerald can get justice. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow. Well, she sounds like a really good lawyer and a lady who cares about what's going on. And, again, we listen to the law firm that Diane is a part of. So there goes Diane Finguera. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, Gerald, you know, it's hard to get you on about this, but it ties into all this other news, so it was an important area to investigate. I myself have been wronged by Google quite a bit, and I've thought about doing things in the past. You know, what really is bad is when the Army, you know, for a month has put out the helicopter shooting Iraqi kids, and it's on ABC, NBC, CBS, everywhere. I go get the same clip from the WikiLeaks. I play a short clip of it, and they shut my channel down and say that it's improper for kids to see this when it's a black and white film of a minivan getting blown up. But all the other channels on YouTube can show it. Now, I sent them letters telling them I was going to sue them, and they restored the channel. And I don't know how that process works. The problem now is we've had Google make false claims against us, and now when we have done appeals, they just slap them down. So I'll be honest, since you're bringing this up, I'm moving into the range now because the First Amendment comes first of having to sue them. But again, it's a $300, $400 million company. It's very creepy. Any other comments about Google? And then I'd like to just get what's front and center on your radar with the economy, with Obama, and with Obama has now, they're going to bring back the assault weapons ban. Dianne Feinstein wants us to make us turn the guns in. I mean, things are getting really, really bad very, very quickly. People up in Camp FEMA in New Jersey and New York, it's in mainstream news that they've got military helicopters out there, people freezing to death, literally, and now they're kicking the media out, 12 days without power and water. I thought the preppers are evil people, Gerald.
Yeah, as we said right from the beginning, the entire U.S. infrastructure is in collapse. It's collapsing. It's right there in front of us. Sophisticated countries don't have telephone poles with wires running around them. That went out in the days of telegraph. But in a country where you have to fight wars all around the globe, you have no money to put in for the people or the infrastructure. Sophisticated countries have these things called floodgates. So the water starts going into tunnels, they close it down. And it goes on and on and on. Now, on Obama, I'm delighted that he won for one reason, and one reason only. And I mentioned this to you, and by the way, as I said, you're a huge hit around the world. I was in Munich, I was in Dublin last week and a half, and everybody came up to me, heard me on your show, loves what you're doing, huge supporters of you, and as you know from the crowd response in Dublin, how much they really believe that. I'm saying what I'm saying because in talking about Obama and where's the country going, the rest of the world really sees it. Had Romney won, there would have been the BS line Well, you know, give him some time. He's a businessman. He'll be able to figure it out. And the charade would have gone on for another 8 or 10 months. Now with Obama being the empty suit and Romney being the stuffed shirt, the empty suit won. No one expects anything of Obama that has a half a brain and that is not an Obama apologist. So, what's happened in the last week since Obama got elected? Hey, Alex, how about $1 trillion been wiped out of the world equity markets? Try that one on for size. That's a fat jack.
And exactly as you said, they had been propping it up until after the election, and right after the election, boom, the hammer came down instantly, and their answer is more austerity, higher taxes for you to pay for banker bailouts. That will fix the world problems.
And I want to mention this again with the banker bailout. Let's make this 100% for anybody who knows people that can't understand anything or don't want to believe anything. Here's the deal. Private banks around the world made bad bets. And now they want their bad bets covered by us paying them off. End of story, period, paragraph. Doesn't go any further than that. The big lie is that if the banks fail, we all fail. Disney couldn't have made that one up. No one would have believed it. But they've pulled it off. That's all these bailouts are about. The people around the world, in Spain, in Italy, in Portugal, in the United States. You know my saying, Alex. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. They're losing it. They're not only killing other people, they're killing themselves. People that have worked all their lives being thrown out of their homes on foreclosure after you bailed out these guys. And here's another atrocity of America, in fascist America. People work all their lives to buy their homes. They pay taxes every year. And now all of a sudden they're out of jobs or down on their luck or too old to work, and they can't pay property or school taxes, and they come and take their homes away? What kind of country are we living in? What kind of immorality is this? And I could sum the immorality up on this special day that we call Veterans Day. Let's call it Victims Day. Ever since the end of World War II, I'm not talking about the people that fought in World War II or World War I. Ever since after World War II, every veteran that has died or served in this country's armed services has served a big lie. They served the lie of Korea. They died uselessly. They served in Vietnam, a Gulf of Tonkin incident that never happened. They served in Iraq for weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda that never existed. They're fighting now and dying in Afghanistan. I love it, that guy Petraeus. Petraeus, the 4-star general. Yeah, he should be demoted to Major F-up. Because that guy is the guy that kept spewing out the lies, the deceit of impressive progress. These criminals, these war criminals, these Clintons, these Bushes, these Johnsons, these Nixons, these Obamas, that are all getting our people killed for lies should be brought up on war criminal charges. Instead, pick up today's toilet paper of record, the New York Times. Big photo of Obama laying a wreath at Arlington Cemetery. And then you go into the rest of the pages, Alex, not a word about anything. Not a word about all the lying wars. Just a piece of prostitute photography to keep the people believing in the big lie of these deceivers in chief, these con men in chief that are destroying the moral fabric of this country.
What do you call it when the crooks wrap themselves in the bravery of the troops? Because even though the wars are frauds, they still have bravery. Most of the troops do join because they think they're being patriotic, even though a lot of it's for poverty. Because expanding on that, I remember it came out last year that 12 years ago in 1999, Bloomberg AP reported on this. In fact, you can pull it up if you want. Prudential and others, what was the exact headline for viewers out there? Prudential, let me find it. Insurance companies made deals to take veterans' death benefits to where they tell troops, oh, you're signing up for a 2, 5, 10-year stint. Sign here to put part of your check in to a death benefit, a life insurance for your widow or widower. And they went to the Veterans Department and got a deal to steal, the Big Ten insurance companies, the money when World War II vets through current vets die. But, oh, it's unpatriotic to talk about that. They say keep the wars going. That's what the troops want, is to win this war. No, they don't. They want to come home.
They want to come home. And they never rotated troops like this back and forth. These poor guys keep going over there. I want to make this really clear. This is not about the troops that I'm talking about. These are a lot of young kids. They're targeting Russia Today did a great segment on how they're getting these Hispanic kids and hounding them to join the service. You have people with futureless futures that they're dragging in. This is not about the troops. It's about the psychopaths in chief. Oh, by the way, I could end the wars like this. End them, not another one. Guaranteed. I heard Obama say Assad has to go. I could balance the budget and end the wars. I want to have a world leader face-off, a fight to the death. Hey, Obama, you want to take out Assad? Get in the ring, Junior. Take him out. Keep me out of your psycho trip. And we do it on pay-per-view. Billions of people all over the world will tune in to watch their fat-mouthed, chicken-hawk leaders who can't fight their way out of a paper bag get in a real man's fight or a woman's fight, like Hillary Clinton. Oh, she could go 7 rounds with somebody. You know, maybe she could take out the Japanese guy. Who knows? All I'm saying, all wars could stop when the commanders-in-chief lead the charge. If you're not going to lead the charge and put your life on the line, shut your mouth.
Well, I was about to say, even in corrupt empires until the last few hundred years, the king had to actually go out and be in the battle.
That's right.
Why don't we bring that back? The king...
Bring it back. The wars will end. Could you imagine Obama? Could you imagine Obama getting in a fight with somebody to take him out? Let me see your stuff, Commander-in-Chief. Clinton, Bush, it would be the Three Stooge fight.
Oh, my gosh, unbelievable. Again, Gerald Celente is our guest. You know, I mentioned this, and I want to put the article on screen. For those that don't know, over 60%, close to 70%, that may be a low number, of Arizona is federal land. And it's not like just in blocks like it is in states like Texas or New York that don't have a lot of federal land. Out west, some states like Nevada is over 87% federal. When you look at it, it's little fingers and pieces. Sometimes it surrounds cities. Like Tucson, on 3 sides, is surrounded by national parks. And to get into Tucson, unless you want to go, I don't know, about 70 miles out of the way, you've got to drive through the national park. And we have an article up at Infowars.com where you have to drive right through from the east into the west, right through the national park. And when you go through it, they have guys with guns out there, federal marshals, with the green-hatted Forest Service, and it's in the local newscast. And they search people's vehicles because somebody in the public land left some shotgun shells. So you got 60+% of the state's federal land. People are allowed to go out there and shoot. The illegals have taken over most of it. But what they then do is they show up and say, now everyone driving through these roads that go through these passes, we're going to stop you. And the news said everybody loves it. If people go watch the video, they're on the site at Infowars.com. So now we have 100 miles in on the coastlines and into Texas and all the other states on the borders. It's not for illegals. They're hiring them to build the fake walls. They will jerk citizens out, search, no warrants. Now, though, Tucson, hundreds of miles up from the border, you're trying to drive in, and they're running checkpoints arguing, well, people went on public lands and were hunting, and they left their shell casings, so now we're going to search your car and see if you have shell casings, because the guns are legal, but they're going to arrest you if you don't have shell casings, whatever that means. I mean, just any excuse to condition people. And again, people watching on the map of Tucson there, you see there on the east, the pass where they're running the checkpoint runs right through the middle. If you, no, it's up north of that. It's the major highway going right through Tanco Verde. Yeah, there it is. There's the road right there. There's the pass. So I've pulled it up there, the road that goes to the pass. So if you want to get into Tucson, they say, well, this is federal property. This is a Constitution-free zone. And now Obama is announcing he wants to ban semi-autos. Gerald, where do you see all this going?
Well, you know, it's not only happening there. It's happening right up here in the Hudson Valley. And you go to any of the reservoirs up here, there are DEP police all over the place. They even set up their own prisons. I mean, come on, yeah, Al-Qaeda knows where that reservoir is up there in Margaretville, you know? I mean, this is all about fear and hysteria and to keep controlling the people. So let's look as the new year begins very shortly, and El Presidente of Los Estados Unidos, Barack Obama, let's watch what he does first. And I can tell you what I believe they're going to be. A more raping of our constitutional rights. I will bet that he approves the Keystone Pipeline. And I will also wager that we will either be in war, a new one, or get closer to another one. Those are my forecasts for the new year. And as we come out with the new Trends Journal for the top trends of 2013, Alex, the first trend that we're going to be writing about is peace. Because if we don't have it, these psychopaths are going to make life not worth living. Not worth living on the everyday level, as you were pointing out what's going on over there in Tucson and Arizona and other places. What's going on over here in New York. You want to see a funny trip? Come over here to Woodstock, New York. You know Woodstock, you know, peace and love. Boy, you should see these cops with their bulletproof vests. You know, you never know when a hippie's going to come at you and take you down. They're militarizing the whole nation. This is what happens in fascist countries. And make no mistake about it, this is fascism. As I said, when private banks have to be bailed out by the public, that's called the merger of state and corporate powers. Corporatism equals fascism. Just ask Mussolini.
Wow. Well, Gerald, I really appreciate all the time you've spent with us today. I know that in the new issue, the November issue of Infowars magazine, we have one of your great articles in there, and you're also an advertiser in it. I appreciate you supporting us getting out our magazine. Your magazine is absolutely amazing, and people can find it at trendsjournal.com. They can also sign up there and get the trend alert reports. But, you know, you've been on the show before, and we've talked about people better support alternative media for sanity, like trendsjournal.com, like Infowars.com, by spreading the word, by going to our official sites, and by buying the products that we have. Because, as you say, prepare, survive, prevail, just like you promote buying locally, having real communities. The globalists are doing everything they can to consolidate control. They want us buying Chinese slave goods, and I'm not judging people. It's almost impossible not to buy some. But when you can, it's important to vote with your dollars, whether it's for organic food, you name it. So people should give a gift subscription to Infowars magazine to their friends and family, 12 issues. If that won't wake them up, nothing will. People should give gift subscriptions to the Trends Journal. You know, just pay for it and then send it to their address as a Christmas gift. And then you wake up friends and family, but you also support what Gerald and I and many others are doing.
Alex, I have to say this. The opportunity has never been greater. This election was a total fraud, and a lot of people know it. It was a lesser of two evils election. 11 million people, including myself, didn't turn out to vote this year. The gap, the vacuum is so huge it could be filled with anything. It could be filled with greatness, courage, respect, dignity, and passion, and change of a magnitude of a renaissance change, a rebirth of quality and greatness like never before. It's a total fraud, and a lot of people know it. It's up to us to change the future, because if anyone says that you're powerless in changing the future, they're trying to rob you of your dignity, deny the soul within you and the God that lives within you, or whatever you believe, because you create the future. And if you leave it to them to create the future, guaranteed you're not going to like it.
Absolutely. Well, Gerald, thank you so much for spending all that time with us, and I hope your lawsuit prevails. If there's any justice, it will, because, you know, you're clearly there trying to get some injunctive relief to get these people off your backs. Hopefully now some of the folks that have been doing this to you will understand that the dogs have now been released reluctantly, and they can back off. But more and more I realize I'm going to have to sue some people as well, just so people understand that we're not going to be walked on. You know, don't tread on me.
Exactly. And this is, as Diane Figueroa mentioned, this is a precedent-setting suit. It's going to affect everyone, and should we be victorious, it will benefit everyone.
Wow. Gerald Celente, Trends Research, thank you so much. TrendsJournal.com.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will certainly all hang together, or as our founders said, hang separate. The government is doing everything in its power to make us dependent on the system, and they've got lots of excuses and reasons of why it's great, and demonizing those that aren't for collectivism. The controllers want us under collectivism because they want to dominate and run our lives. And it's time to say, hey, don't tread on me, and demand liberty and demand freedom. You know, many of our founders said it. Other philosophers have stated it. And we've seen it throughout history. Liberty is not given. It is demanded. It is taken. And when we become a bunch of compliant little serfs and slaves, wolves will rule over a nation of sheep. Now, continuing here, I don't want to be sheep-like, but I understand that other people out there do. It's time to force the sheep out of their catatonic slumber. It's time to go print 2.0, something the internet kill switch can't get rid of, and to get 12 issues of this, 60 pages, delivered to your friends and family's door, or to the local police station, you name it. So go give a gift subscription, one easy payment of $59.95. Half of that's the shipping and handling. And we will deliver 12 of these to whoever's door you want, whether it's your door or somebody you want to wake up's door. 12 copies, believe me. This is going to bounce around the office. It's going to bounce around people's houses. It's going to have a big effect. Now, it doesn't financially support the InfoWar, but it supports us all in upping the game and waking people up. We sell these magazines at cost. You can also buy them in bulk of groups of 10, right up to 100 at cost as well, to hand out to friends and family like the founders did with the pamphleteers. Now, finally tonight, because there was such a huge response to this, we're going to extend it for a couple more days because of request. We are the biggest seller of ProPure water filtration systems in the world because we already have them at the lowest price. Then we discount them an additional 10% with the promo code WATER. Until Wednesday, you can get 15% off on the already lowest prices at InfoWarsStore.com on ProPure water filtration. And your purchase does support our broadcast with the profit we make. There's also fluoride filters there that you can add to it to really reduce that almost down to nothing. But this could take swamp water and make it safe. So can the Life Straw. All available right now at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. We don't have globalist sponsors. We're supported by viewers and patriots and liberty lovers out there like you. We don't take tax money and then use it against you. We are funded by you, free association. Great job to the crew. Great job to Mr. Ortiz doing the news portion of the transmission earlier tonight. And I will, Lord willing, see you back on the radio tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern at Infowars.com, XM 166 and over 140 AM and FMs in your area. The fact that we're growing shows that people are waking up. Alex Jones signing off.